the time that it's beginning as you go, and of course you make the news.
Middle Tennessee, part of a national trend.
When I came to Nashville, it was only like maybe two businesses, Mexican businesses.
Nashville becoming a gathering point for the region.
On Saturdays, we get people from as far as Alabama. So people come, the whole family just come here to eat.
The culture now taking root. As we celebrate Hispanic influence in Middle Tennessee and across the country.
There are thousands, millions of Hispanics that have come to this country legally and have contributed over generations.
Hidden History, celebrating Hispanic heritage, starts right now. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being with us. I'm Josh Breslow. Welcome to Nolensville Pike in South Nashville. It's considered to be one of the cradles of Hispanic culture in Middle Tennessee. Here are the numbers from Davidson County, the 2016 American Community Survey. The Census Bureau reported just over 69,000 Hispanic or Latino people in Metro Nashville, and that number the highest percentage Mexican at roughly 64%. Most of the remaining Hispanics in Davidson County are from Central America, the majority of Honduran and Salvadoran descent. The Nashville Area Hispanic Chamber of Commerce sees the Hispanic community spreading and hopes for a better count soon.
Because they concentrated in South Nashville, primarily, but it is all over the area now, West Nashville and East. But so we are in the process of working with the city and working with other economic development agencies in Nashville to take advantage of the opportunity with the Census 2020 and look into this again and see if we can get some numbers.
And it's not just Nashville that's seeing this move. Over in Las Vegas, things are changing, and they're changing fast. Karen Castro has that story.
It was a small town. Not in the peak forest here when I got here.
A lot has changed since Mario Sandoval first moved to Las Vegas from Juarez, Mexico, just after the first big wave of Latinos made their way to Nevada during the 1950s and 60s. He was 4 years old.
I felt that this was not my place. But in the other sense, I started school here. This is my place.
Another major Latino migration happened during the 1980s, mostly from Mexico and Central American countries. Since then, the Hispanic population has been on the uptick, with the exception of a brief period during the economic recession in 2008.
It's an attraction both for work and for culture and for community.
Latinos make up almost 30% of Nevada's population of 3 million people, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. The highest concentration of Hispanics live in Clark County. There are an estimated 225,000 people from Mexico, making up the largest group of Latinos in the state, followed by Salvadorians at about 22,000 and Cubans at more than 13,000.
When you look at just the general migration, folks, obviously because of the service industry, the construction industry, that Las Vegas has always kind of been a boom city.
In fact, the majority of Latinos work in the construction and hospitality industries. Sandoval is getting ready to celebrate 34 years at the Binion's Gambling Hall Steakhouse.
According to the latest survey from the Census Bureau, about 30% of the population of the city of Las Vegas is Hispanic. Back here at Plaza Mariachi, many people remember a time when you could count the number of Hispanic-owned businesses in Nashville on one hand. That number, now 1,500 and growing.
Well, that's one of the first generations. The first generation was primarily restaurants and stores. But as those businesses are created now, the kids are being more into more different types of businesses, whether they're looking for the opportunity. And these things to do, even my role as a professional, very few professionals who are seeing more and more. Every year we see more Hispanic professionals, whether it's dentists, engineers, accountants, we're seeing more so breadth of the community.
The creators of Plaza Mariachi did something pretty unique. They took an old Kroger on Nolensville Pike and transformed it into a destination for dining, dancing, and shopping.
We have several different spots that we actually have in this town that we like to call our own little pueblo, our own little, small city. within the city of Nashville. We have a food hall, which has several different food concepts. So we have different styles of food, not necessarily all Latin American, but most of them are. Then we have retail down the individual calles or the little streets that have all been named different revolutionary names like Villa, Morales, Hidalgo, which are some of the main streets that you would find in any Latin American country, like a Broadway or a First Avenue, something like that.
We've moved right next to Plaza here for another slice of Hispanic culture and food in South Nashville. This right here is Panca, a taste of Peru. A native of Peru.
By menu, we have really everything.
Marlon Cedillo has brought the country's main dishes to Music City.
I see different restaurants, the different countries, but I don't see the Peruvian food here.
His story, though, starts in Maryland, where he lived for the last 8 years. That is, until his brother, who lived in Nashville, had an idea.
He told me he don't have Peruvian chicken in this city.
So Cedillo picked up and moved to Tennessee, opening up his own Peruvian restaurant.
I love this city. I like it's beautiful, nice people.
Opening in May, Cedillo tells me Panca already has a loyal following, a good mix of people stepping in.
I have 60% American people, and another 50% I have the South American people.
The roasted chicken, no doubt, Panca's specialty, but anything you can find in Peru, you can also find right here.
Okay.
Not worried about competition, Cedillo hopes to actually be a trendsetter.
Maybe the future, maybe they have more Peruvian food here.
You want to give that a try here in South Nashville. And if you go beyond food when you're talking about the local Hispanic business community, Luxury Ice introduces us to a man who's combined hard work and boxing.
Ramon Ayano appreciates the value of hard work.
We go out for the streets, we are selling gum, we are hustling, shiny shoes. We moved to Guadalajara, which is a bigger city, then same thing. We live in a very rough neighborhood.
Despite growing up in poverty-stricken, violent neighborhoods, Ramon never lost sight of his dream. One day, becoming a crime-fighting boxer.
Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to box. From then on, I was looking for a ring everywhere, but I can't come to a ring boxing.
With no gym in sight, Ramon followed his father to America in the 1970s to pursue a career seriously. As his success grew rapidly, Ramon traveled the country, and he just kept winning.
And I started getting trophies, and they're like, wow, my house started to get full of trophies.
With boxing as a focus, Ramon took on side jobs, washing dishes, cooking, and cleaning tables. In the following years, he would own several businesses before moving to Nashville to plant his roots. The former boxer hung up his gloves to prepare for the biggest challenge yet, becoming a successful business owner.
We different, we're not just a regular restaurant. We are restaurant, boxing, sports.
These days, you can find Ramon at San Jose Fiesta. The walls are lined with displays of his favorite fighters and highlights from his own career.
My trophies.
The entire place a tribute to what he can accomplish with hard work, determination, and a fighting spirit.
I know people don't know. I know about them. I know them.
In Nashville, Mark Sirianni, News 2.
Back to Middle Tennessee a little later. Up next, though, some of the history.